Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by Good Marketing and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So Michigan has arguably one of the best startup ecosystems in the country. Getting an invention turned into a successful endeavor that employs citizens is no easy feat, and it truly takes a village. Here to share the amazing story of MotMot, the important work that they do, and the partnerships and support it takes to launch is their CEO and co-founder, Elliott Smith. Welcome to the show, Elliott.
Awesome. Super geeked and jazzed to be here. Thank you, Chris.
Excellent. So start with your personal entrepreneurial journey. Is MotMot your first foray into this type of work? And kind of where are you from and how'd you get here?
Yeah, this is my first company ever. My background, I'm a civil engineer, so I helped represent a lot of different cities, townships, counties in Southeast Michigan. Was helping out with their asset management strategy for water main, something that is mostly invisible to us,
right?
But definitely needs more visibility. And so we realized there's a big problem. Spent 2 years here at Michigan State incubating the company, and then took it full time about a year and a half ago with my co-founders.
Got it. Okay. So MotMot, first of all, I got to ask, where's the name come from?
There's a lot of different origins to the name of MotMot. It came around a campfire during the pandemic. Like, we have 30 different names. Which one do we choose? But we wanted to pay homage to Detroit being Motor City.
Okay.
So we took the first three letters of Motown or Motor City, and then doubled it. It also ends up being a bird that burrows tunnels in. But yeah, it's for Detroit.
Got it. Okay. Wonderful. And so you talked about water mains. Mm-hmm. So what is a water main for those needing to know?
Thank you for the question. And it's so funny because I do like a lot of these pitches and everyone's like, water main, it's like the stuff that goes down the toilet. It is not that. So when you wake up and you brush your teeth or you take a shower, like all that water doesn't just come out of the faucet magically, right? There's a lot of miles of pipe underneath our roads that transports that water.
Okay.
And so that's water main. You can have a lot of different sizes. Some of it's really big, can be like 10 feet in diameter. Most of it's like 6 to 8 inches. But it's really old. So like in Detroit, we have the water main built in the 1800s. Here in Lansing, it's probably early 1900s. And the last time anyone's ever seen it was the age of install, which 120 years ago. And so it can have a lot of buildup in the inside. It can be leaky. We may not know where it's at. And so if you're able to get that visibility somehow, it can really help a community plan for the projects or help prevent water main breaks.
Got it. Good. I'm glad you brought up water main breaks. So, because that's when I think of water mains, I think of water main breaks. Because and I think just any person could say, all right, there's a source of water somewhere,
right? And
then there's a series of big to medium to smaller to smaller to smaller, and then the pipe ends up at my house. But I'm in a neighborhood or subdivision, so there's 300 of those pipes, and somewhere in that infrastructure, something ruptures, damages, breaks.
Yeah.
And if it's been there for 100 plus years, it doesn't surprise me that it's going to fail eventually. And so being a civil engineer, you realize that these things were happening and something proactive needed to be done to see what's going on, and you created an invention. So talk a little bit about what MotMot actually is.
Yeah, you nailed it. So what MotMot does is we're really a data company to get what the inside of our pipe looks like. And so our whole model is, can you get eyes and ears inside of a pipe? Well, maybe, but how do you make that happen? So what we've created is this small autonomous underwater robot that you put into the pipe, and it does exactly that. It takes video, has a microphone that's listening for leaks. It's pinging that system with acoustics, trying to measure the irregularities in that pipe thickness wall. We're working right now on, can you map it better? Can you upload this to like your city's GIS? There's a lot of really cool data points that you can get if you can just get eyes and ears into the pipe.
Got it. Okay. And so this is way out of my element. I am so far from being a scientist. It's not even funny. And so I was looking through your website just to kind of prepare myself for this conversation. Sure. And it says, we operate as a hardware as a data service, HAADS platform, deploying our technology and delivering risk assessments at scale. So hardware as a data service. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a little goofy. So we have SaaS systems, we have HaaS systems. This one, is more, we lease the equipment to a city. They install the hardware, which is our robot.
Okay.
It procures that data. So it's hardware as a data service. We provide them really a risk assessment profile of their system to help with their overall asset management strategy. Got it.
Okay. Now, I was fortunate, and I shared kind of in the hallways before we got on board here, not actually with the last guest I was talking to. So I'm a certified economic developer, and that's done through the International Economic Development Council. And they had their annual meeting, which rotates worldwide, and they chose Detroit. And so just 3 weeks ago, I was in downtown Detroit for 3 days with all these people who geek out over economic development in the future. And one of the optional tours was to go see New Labs. And so you were already scheduled to come on the show.
Yeah.
But I also went over to do the Michigan Central Station tour and New Labs. And in the lobby of New Labs was MotMot.
Yep.
And so I had a little teaser to see exactly what this is. So I'm telling you this to tell you this. So for those listening, this little robot is like a miniature kind of submarine.
Yeah.
You know, that goes through these water mains and is obviously must have remote controls, or I mean, how does it get controlled through the system?
Yeah. So our long-term vision, and you're using National Science Foundation monies for this. We just got a pretty nice grant, is to localize and have the robot be untethered and navigate within the system without any outside communication.
Got it. So you're not steering it, slowing it down, backing it up.
Well, that's the long-term vision. What we're doing now is to help with our pilots and to help to mitigate any risks. Is everything is tethered, and we have a tether that's about 2 miles in length.
Wow.
That will deploy through fire hydrants. But so that's like a dumb tether. So like it's an autonomous robot. It can go 2 miles in length. We also have a smart tether. It's a little bit thicker of a tether. Not to get too geeky and sciencey with it, because it's so thick, we're limited with our distance, but that can also be manual control.
Got it. Okay. So you have this functioning robot that you're using. And so where in the phases of the startup are you currently? We're recording this in October of 2025.
Yeah.
I saw it as, you know, I mean, it was a static display, but you could see it. I'd say maybe it's 12 inches long.
That one you saw, yep, that was one of our first models, 12, 14 inches long, 4.5 inches outer diameter.
Right.
Yep.
So it's a big cylinder. It looks like a really big capsule.
Yep. Nothing fancy.
Right. And it goes through these pipes. Is it in use now, or is it still being beta tested? Do you have clients? Are you functioning with revenue, or is it all still getting launched?
Yeah. So right now, the level set, we came out of the universities of Michigan State and University of Michigan, and we went full time about 1.5 years ago. We made some crazy good traction in that 1.5 years. And so we kicked off our first municipal pilot program about 2 months ago with the city of Detroit, and we are actively doing three right now, and we have about 50 cities on deck. And what's fun about entrepreneurship is everyone wants to do the MVP, like just make the thing and go market test it and just get it out there. And I totally subscribe to that. But when you're being active in municipal drinking water systems, and it's potable and it's a public health concern, you have to be a little more intentional on how you navigate that. And so we're rolling out our pilots a little bit slower than probably most folks would, but it's because we want to be safe with it. And so, yeah, we're kicking them off, and I'm trying to get 12 done by the end of the year.
12. Okay. Yep. So basically 12 like deployments that come back with data, and people are going to pay you money for. Or maybe you're doing it as a beta test. It's like, we'll do it for you, and maybe there's not a lot of compensation, but we'll show you how it works.
Yeah. So the first 3 we're doing are free. We are getting we're getting paid for the remainder of them.
Got it.
Yep.
Well, I just want to give a nod to the folks at the Michigan Rise Pre-Seed Fund. This episode is brought to you by the Michigan Rise Pre-Seed Fund, providing early stage funding for Michigan-based startups. Since 2020, Michigan Rise has helped high-tech, high-growth startup companies achieve commercial and technological milestones through capital formation strategies, talent development, and customer acquisition tactics. With financing options for every stage of the entrepreneurial journey, Michigan Rise significantly increases the impact of new ideas and research. Visit www.michiganrise.com to discover how Michigan Rise can help fuel your startup's growth. Michigan Rise is supported by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and the Michigan State University Research Foundation. You chuckled a little bit. Does that resonate a little bit for you?
So, my co-founder, he did his PhD program at Michigan State.
Okay.
I did my MBA at Michigan State. We both graduated literally last year. Michigan Rise has been a huge supporter for MotMot. So know all those folks really well. Shout out to Jeff Wesley, Tommy Skinner, and Pete Martin over there. Immensely powerful and just generally good people to help other startups
Understood.
Thrive.
I don't disagree even a little bit. So you've got these pilots, you've got clients that are lining up, but you want to make sure that this is all the bugs are worked out, metaphorically and probably literally, since we're talking about drinking water, right? And so the end goal though is for your technology to be deployable. So, but you'll own the robot and manage its kind of deployment, and then it'll bring back data that you'll then give to the user, and then you'll move on, right? You're not selling these robots for use by a municipality and teaching them how to do it, and then they're on their own, right? Your sale is a service sale.
Correct. So the business model is we send the robot, we send the attachment for a fire hydrant to a municipality to install it themselves. They lease the equipment, and then it's a volume tiered pricing model. So the first 10 miles is the most expensive, but after that, it gets cheaper and cheaper the more you use it. They use the robot to gather the data, and then we upload that data to our cloud. And then with that, we're able to provide them a more empirical, truthful, like risk assessment profile of what their system looks like.
And so what data, not what format does it get sent back in, but what do you tell them? Like, there's a leak, this is a fail point that's coming, or here's what are you telling them? Yeah,
it's all about return on investment for a city. So what we found in our customer discovery through the National Science Foundation is cities want to know where the next water main break is going to happen and when. So that is a term called probability of failure. So we take in a bunch of different data points. Like, okay, can we confirm the material that they thought was true? Like, do they have asbestos cement water main, or is it ductile iron? How much tuberculation is on the inside? How much ferrous oxidation is there buildup on the inside? Pressure, like, are they getting good pressures in their system? Are the joints that connect the water main, is it dislodged a little bit? So there's like all these weird things, and there's not a real standard for it, which is wild. Like with your gravity sewer systems, like the folks you had on before, they do sanitary main, they do storm sewer main, everything just flows with gravity.
Yep. Okay.
Water main doesn't have the same standards.
That's pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's pressure. And you can like kind of take a little bit of condition scores and defects from your gravity sewer industry or from the oil and gas line industry, but for water main, it's still kind of developing. So one thing that we're excited for is cool. For the first time, like we're going to at scale look at all these miles and miles and miles of pipe, get all this mass amount of data, and can we start piecemealing? And I don't want to independently make a whole scoring system, but trying to figure out like what's generally accepted, combine that together, and then maybe start standardizing what a condition score for your water main would be. And so if we can do that effectively and provide like a real return on investment for cities, we can help save a lot of general funds for when you have cities chasing all these water mains. So like there's one city we're talking right now, they reached out to us and they have had 70 water main breaks in the last 90 days.
Oh my goodness.
70. Now these aren't transmission pipes. These aren't really, really big pipes.
Right.
But for your distribution system, like 70 is a lot. And so like how much does that cost per water main break?
It's all reactive.
Right. It's all reactive.
You're fixing the problem after it's done. But if you could see it coming and prioritize and create a plan,
right.
These are the top 5 places that are likely to fail soonest. So we're going to go fix them before they fail.
Yeah. It's
the whole goal.
You got it. It's a big problem. And so like your transmission pipe, if that breaks, so like take Novi a week or two ago, they'd have a 42-inch transmission water main break. I believe it took 2 or 3 days to repair. There was a boil water advisory for another 2 or 3 days after that. And all 12-mile road at that spot, it's still down. So like how much did that cost for the emergency repair? How much water was lost? The businesses, if you're a restaurant, you couldn't really do anything. And so there's a big economic impact to just one water main break.
Right. That's your brand. I mean, as a resident, and it just, I hear you. So it's not a good look to be a municipality that has that kind of problem.
Well, yeah, it's not a good look, but it's also not the municipality's faults either. It's
Right.
It's been an issue of visibility for our Department of Public Works. And so one value that we think we can provide is, hey, if we can help support Department of Public Works, get them more funding, get them more taxes to do the work that they need, get them more employees, like it's just a net positive on the community as a whole.
Right on. Well, here at Michigan Reimagined, we tell the stories of passionate Michiganders doing great things across the state, like MotMot. Today's podcast sponsor takes the art of positive storytelling to a whole new level. The good people at Good Marketing work with organizations across the state that are having a positive impact on the lives of Michigan residents. They help educate communities on the importance of affordable housing, the impact of wildlife and natural resource management, the availability of workforce development and educational programs. If it lifts people up and makes communities stronger, then they want to help spread the word. If your organization needs help communicating the good work that you do, stop by their website at goodmarketing.com. That's GUD marketing.com. So you obviously have a functioning robot. Do you have several? I mean, is this
We have right now about 5.5.
Got it. Okay. And I only ask you that just because, where does this go? Like, where does MotMot go? I mean, do you need a manufacturing facility where you're going to pump out hundreds or thousands of these and deploy them around the country or around the world? Like, where does this all go? Or do you make a handful? I mean, how, and what's the timeline on the growth of MotMot in your eyes?
Yeah. So we're going to need a manufacturing facility for sure. Right now we're iterating a lot of the technology. We're doing all the pilots ourselves, but the model is eventually just send this over to communities across the U.S. and potential world for them to deploy. Right now we're happy with our 5.5. I think our goal starting off in like Q2 of next year is to have about 30 ready to go. But yeah, the manufacturing is going to be a whole new animal.
Yeah. And so when you, do you envision is the MotMot business model where, if the city of XYZ says, yep, we want your services, we'll sign the contract, whatever, will you have a MotMot kind of employee go out and deploy this thing and manage it and then bring it back with the data? Or do you teach them how to do it? Or how does that look?
Yeah, great question. The details are important, right? So we're trying to make this so easy that my cousin in Pennsylvania, Bubba, can do it. Like that's the model. And so the model is, hey, there you have a fire hydrant, you have a valve right by that fire hydrant, you're going to close that valve, you can take off that fire hydrant flange on the top, and then just put our tether manager on it and deploy. So any city can use it with any hydrant that matches up with our flange connection. It's goofy because like originally when we had set out, we're like, we're going to open up manholes and we're going to get inside of a well where there's like a gate valve and we're going to core out a piece. And it was just like too much. It was too expensive. And so like, this is the easiest way we found to get inside the system.
Sure.
I don't know. There's better ways to do it. We went through like 12 different like ways. For the Fenton one, we're going to go through a ground storage tank.
Okay.
But you're not always going to have like a nice entry point like that. So we're trying to do something that's like universal.
Right. And then again, sorry to pepper you with detailed questions, but so you run this thing, your robot for a couple of miles. Yep. and I get the idea that it's filming and listening and pinging and doing all those kinds of things. Does someone who knows what this data looks like need to sit there and watch the 7 hours of this and assess? It's like, ooh, that looks bad. That ping didn't sound right. And like check off like where those things are happening to give the finished data set to the people that bought your service? Or does it only like record and just say, ooh, mile 2, 30 yards, 15 feet and 2 inches, there's a weakness.
Yeah, so there's two answers to this. The first one, just make sure I got your previous one answered, is you set it, you forget it, the robot does inspections, it comes back to the tether manager and it's done with the data.
Yep.
Then we take that data, we bring it in-house internally. And what's nice is we're living in 2025. It's the age of AI. Okay. So for your gravity sewer systems, when you would have someone go in and they used to have a similar thing. It's like a tethered RV car. It would take miles of video footage. And you used to have to sit an engineer down and in front of a monitor and look at what we to call dirty pipe videos because it's sanitary systems,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
so you're like, oh, at the 200th foot, there's a transverse crack, and you have to like document that. But now if you have an AI model that's learning what already exists and can grow with all the video that you're able to provide it, you don't have to sit an engineer in front of it anymore. So that's where the MotMot.ai comes in, is you get all this data.
Got it.
And then you're able to provide that report, and also just, again, kind of standardize it. If you put 100 engineers looking at one inspection and a whole bunch of data from that inspection, you're going to probably get 100 different answers. So like how you start standardizing that into one model is really important.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, like I said, we're recording this in October of 2025. Kind of what is the near term next steps, and when do you think you're going to manufacture to some reasonable scale? Like, and again, I'm not rushing you, but I just am interested in educating our listeners as to what the ecosystem of startups and the timelines really look like. Yeah.
And I'm probably not the best founder because I'm overly transparent with everything. We don't know yet. But to be a good founder, you have to be, flexy. You have to like figure it out as you go. Right. My goal is to start manufacturing April of 2026. That's a goal of mine. And with that, we can start actually sending that out. We'll have roughly at that time 30 pilots under our belt. We have a pretty good technology, but we're going to still learn, right? It's all about like putting it into the market. You have to learn, you have to adapt, you have to listen to customer feedback. But we don't know. We have to learn, and we have to adapt as we grow.
Right. Well, I mean, it's fantastic. I could keep going with all these questions, but I think that's enough to whet everyone's appetite with what you're doing. I mean, you're working out of New Labs, right? Yep. Which is down in Corktown, right next to the new Michigan Central Station, which is a wonderful building in its own right. But the New Lab building is no joke. I mean, I just love that place. And so New Labs is a brand, right? I believe that they have another location out of Brooklyn, which was their core. And I don't know if it was Jeff and his team or who courted them to kind of have a second hub.
Yeah, they're opening more. They're opening more too.
Okay, so. But Detroit and Corktown, this New Labs building. So you have New Labs as an entity, and then you have the Michigan Rise and the Michigan State University Research Foundation. Kind of talk about some of the other support mechanisms in that kind of startup ecosystem that have helped you get to this point, because it's hard to do this in your own garage. Oh,
for sure. So quick backstory. When I was going through my undergrad, I was a terrible student. Like I might have the world record for a person that took calculus 2 the most amount of times. Like I think it was like 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Something kind of embarrassing. But what I learned is when I started treating my undergrad program like a team sport, and I started having that camaraderie with my other engineers, like life got a lot easier.
Okay.
Right. It's hard to do things alone. And what New Lab allows founders to do is it can also be a very lonely journey. And so having that ecosystem and being able to like, hey, I don't know how to do battery designs for my robot, and we need to shrink this down. There's a startup there that's helping us do battery design. And so like you're able to kind of like cross collaborate, and like maybe there's other founders that aren't great at pitch decks or their financial models. And so I can help them with that, or grants. Like MotMot's been really great with grants this year. And so we can help other founders also navigate that minefield. And so, it's an amazing ecosystem. I think there's over 150 startups out of New Lab right now. It's incredible. The other different levers that we've pulled on for support has been Michigan Rise. Universities, Michigan State, University of Michigan have been incredible. Wayne State's also been coming in now too. MEDC, specifically the Office of OFME, Future Mobility Electrification. One thing I wasn't expecting, I was really scared to go for venture capital. I heard VC and I'm like, there's going to be vultures out there. I'm going to be taken advantage of. And I found the opposite to be true. And so we have VCs on our cap table, and they have been nothing but supportive and just like engaging and trying to make this a success. And that's been a really big surprise, and something I value a lot.
Wonderful. Excellent. So how can people follow along with your journey? Do you have social handles? You got websites and modeling?
They can find us at MotMot.ai. We are most active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Our Instagram channel is a little, but LinkedIn, we post a lot of good updates, and mostly because we're business to government, and that's where a lot of our municipal partners are at.
Got it. So MotMot, MotMot.ai.
Yep.
And follow them on LinkedIn and their website, and see this journey get to its fruition. Unbelievable. I mean, it's just such a different world than I've ever lived in. And so I applaud your ingenuity, fixing things that people haven't really realized are broken until the water comes gushing out of the road. But great stuff. We've been talking with the CEO and co-founder of MotMot. Elliott Smith drove all the way up from Detroit to here in Lansing just to have this conversation. I wish you nothing but the best, and would love to have you come back when you have another milestone to check off to get caught up again.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, Chris. And for the listeners out there, let's keep it flowing.
You get I love it. And I'd love to give a final shout out to my loyal sponsors, Wagoner Financial, Good Marketing, Triterra Environmental, Keller Williams Advantage and Team, Michigan Rise, Kirk Byron State Farm, and the attorneys at Foster Swift. Great people, worth the call. And if you found the show as a one-off, I want to remind you to follow and subscribe to Michigan Reimagined on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere you find your podcast. This is Chris Buck signing off for Michigan Reimagined.